Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio out of New York. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Corner Bookstore, where we feature authors, writers, and publishers from all around the world, helping them promote their work and spread the great word. Joining me on this program is my dear friend, an esteemed colleague, and someone who is so successful in her own right, not only as an author, but as a teacher, as a performer, as someone who is so inspirational and the global connector. Let's bring her on. It's Diann Floyd Boehm.
You're always so kind. Thank you. It's great to see you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Nice to see you too. And we get to fit our head through this whole of books here, right?
I know. I love your new backgrounds and the whole USA Global TV. Congratulations. What an incredible network you're building.
Thank you, Diann. And for people who don't know, Diann is my co-host on 3 shows, which is really amazing considering the workload that you already have. So Diann, thank you so much for taking the time. And you brought 2 amazing guests who are backstage today. I'm excited to bring them out. But before we do, I love to spotlight you and have you share a little bit about your background as an author, and also why are we doing this show?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining our show. Yes, I'm basically a pretty new author. I started out as an educator, moved into training teachers in how to use and implement effectively technology. Then, enjoyed traveling, and I decided to take all my storytelling, because I love to tell stories. Can you tell I get very excited? And put them to word. And so I'm very proud that I have many children's books out now. And I have a couple more coming out soon, which we'll be sharing more about that later. And I have my first young adult historical fiction. And why do I do it? Because my purpose of my books is to spread kindness, to love one another, and for you to dream and know that if you work really hard, just maybe you'll discover where you're meant to be and share all your beautiful talents to the world. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diann. And I also want our viewers and listeners to know that Diann is the co-host, as I mentioned, of 3 shows. She's also a talking head, meaning that she's on our expert team of global presenters, and she's an elevated listener, which means she has invested her time, effort, and money to learn how to listen at a higher level. So you definitely want to reach out to her and do business with her. All right, Diann, who are our guests today?
I am so excited to have, not only are they colleagues, but friends. And I have met them through an author program through the eyes of authors. And we have Aimee and James Hill with us today. Aimee is very successful in her own right as a publicist. She has her own podcast. She has her own business. She's a young mom. My hat is totally off to her. I remember those days, but man, she is rocking it. And using the term rocking it is James Hill, who has his own publishing company, Rock Hill. How about that? So that wasn't even meant to be for a lead on, but anyway. And James writes in a totally different genre than I, and that's what I love about the Corner Bookstore. Earlier, you asked the question, and I did not answer it. I apologize. Why do we do this? We do this because we want authors to have the ability to share their wonderful books that they've worked so hard, and we want to help them get it out into the world. And there's so many genres, and that is what Aimee's all about in helping us. So if you're looking for someone, Aimee is the person for you. If you're looking to become part of the family through the eyes of authors, and I'm sure James will tell you more about it. And then James has his own publishing company as well as a successful award-winning author. How about that?
Well done, Diann. You are on fire today on all cylinders.
I am. It's exciting, when you have two people you really know and you know how hard they work, not just for you like Aimee does. I mean, she helps so many of us authors as well as James, and then to hear, backstories, and it's just wonderful to be able to have friends here. So I'm very excited to have both of them.
Well, I'm excited as well. I've met James before. He's been on our platform, and Aimee actually met through her Facebook Live. So let's bring them both out, and then we'll interview them individually.
Sounds great.
All right. Welcome to the program, Aimee and James. Hello.
Hey,
good morning.
Nice to see you both. And it's obviously quite a tribute from Diann. I have the utmost respect for her. And I'm just so happy that you're both here today. You're both doing incredible things to help other people, which is what we're all about here at USA Global TV. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So just a couple of general questions for the two of you, and then we'll interview you each separately. So what are your thoughts about how the whole industry of writing and publishing has changed? Like, where do you see it going? And what I mean by this is, for broadcasting, for example, there have been network stations for a zillion years, and now we're going towards everything streaming. How is technology impacting writing and publishing? Who wants to take a stab at that?
Well, I guess I'm the publisher, so probably I should jump right in.
Oh, yeah.
The industry has changed for a lot. And I've been in this for quite some time as a publisher now for, I don't know, I'm bad with dates, but a good 10 years at least. And before that, as a writer for God knows how long. But it went from being the big five and having to go through all these different hoops to having people able to publish their own work. Amazon was, the starter of that kind of a situation. Although there was always independent publishers and there was always self-publishing avenues that you can go through. It just became more popular and more widespread thanks to the internet and thanks to places like Amazon and people actually opening up platforms where you can actually get out to the public. And so that's the big change. Like TV went from 2 or 3 network, 4 network to being this thing where you have a million channels. It's also kind of like the same with publishing. Not everything is good, unfortunately, but everything is available, which is good.
It's great.
Thank you, James. Yeah, that's a great explanation. Appreciate it. And Aimee, over to you about social media. I know I really have struggled with social media in so many ways. And what I found was that my messaging wasn't consistent or clear. So
Right.
what do you find are key things people need to do when they are interested in getting their work about their book launch, their writing out there on social media? Any tips you might have?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, the key thing with social media is just being consistent. But when it comes to messaging and stuff, you really have to know your audience and who you're targeting, who is your genre mostly for, what readers are looking for, what they want to hear from, and what's going to draw them into your book launch. So for me, I mean, I have pretty much grown up with social media, so I love social media. So it's all about playing and doing things like that. But I mean, at the same time, a lot of it is trial and error, trying to figure out the best messaging that resonates with your audience. And when you figure it out and you know exactly what they want, then it becomes easier, because then you know how to word things, what they're looking for, what kind of graphics they're looking for, what information they want on your book launch. And then it's just smooth sailing. It's rocky waters until you figure out exactly what that is. But the best thing is just to try different things that you would want to see as a lover of the genre that you write in, or business that you do, kind of anything like that. It's what would you want to see as a lover of this area, I would say.
Great point. Thank you. And I think you also mentioned something that really is relevant. You have to know your audience And also, I'm from a different generation. So for me, social media was not something that came to me. It doesn't come to me so quickly, even though I'm constantly posting. I'm like, what is it I'm posting? But you have to know what is the messaging and how does it resonate with your audience. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Diann, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's take, who wants to go first? Aimee, should we interview you? I think that's what we decided.
Sure. Yeah. I'm game. I'm smooth sailing. So yeah, that's good.
All right. Perfect. Diann.
Sure. It says, Aimee, so why don't you share with everyone, and again, thank you for being on the show, all about Abundantly Social and through the eyes of authors.
Yeah, so I started Abundantly Social. It's coming up on 5 years ago. I was working for a PR company called Perceptive Public Relations with Sandy Lawrence. I started doing social media with her. I moved to the Houston area and became vice president of her company. And I decided to start my own social media marketing company. And I went through so many names, Diann. Oh my gosh. And then Abundantly Social just fit. I'm a huge extrovert. I love social media. And the word abundantly is just, I don't know, a unique word for me. So I started Abundantly Social working with small business owners, entrepreneurs. And then when the PR company kind of shifted gears to focusing more on authors, we opened up to helping authors because social media is a struggle for all of us, even me. I mean, I specialize in it, but I'm constantly learning new things. It's constantly changing, and that's part of what makes it so fun. So we opened up 5 years ago, and 3 years ago, we opened up to authors and helping them. And currently today, we have merged the PR company with Abundantly Social. And so we offer PR along with social media support and marketing. And so we have different bundles now that fit for authors that include book launches and social media, PR kits, everything under the rainbow for marketing you could have is now what Abundantly Social has grown into.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. A question I have is a follow-up. So I published my first book. I self-published, and my second one is about to come out. And I'm just wondering, it sounds like you would be a great person to contact to try to figure out how do you get your audience to grow? How do you get to become a number one bestseller? And I've been told there's all kinds of processes you can follow. They seem so cumbersome for me to figure out by myself. So would I be best served working with someone like you and your organization for that?
I would say yes. So I like to, not to toot my own horn, but I like to call myself the book launch specialist just because out of the hundreds of book launches that we've done in the past 3 years, I think I've only had 2 that didn't make it to an Amazon bestseller. And that was just flaws that had kind of happened. So that is my area expertise, I would say, if I could speak this morning, but it's the most fun for me. So I would say it's once you figure out the waters and getting it, it's smooth sailing, but it's always good to kind of have someone there to hold your hand and guide you that already knows the process, because when you self-publish your own book, you've already gone through so many steps and talking with so many people and editors and everything. You're just like, it's a huge weight lifted when that book's actually published. And then you have a whole nother weight of marketing your book, right? Because you're kind of on your own doing that. And so you don't need to carry that weight alone, is what I like to say. So it's good to share the weight. And I can take a lot more of the weight because I've done this for so long. It's like second nature. So I would recommend, if not me, having someone to help kind of guide you and walk you through, because it can get overwhelming really quickly. If you're a first time author, you don't really know all the different marketing aspects that are out there, different platforms you can go on. So you definitely would be best off having guidance in that area.
Sounds very exciting to have that weight lifted off.
Yeah.
So when Aimee is the appropriate time for someone like me to reach out to you? Like, when is it too late and when is it too early?
Well, it's never too late. We can always fix things that have happened. But a rule of thumb for me is 6 months before your book is published. So we can come up with a 6-month marketing plan, different places for you to speak, different promotions that we can do to help you achieve your bestseller. Make sure we have your book launch set ready to go. Everyone that you have on there, we have the swipe copy and everything set. So that way no one has to worry about anything. It's already done. And that gives us the time and flexibility to make things happen in case there's hiccups and when you need to extend the date of your book or whatever. That kind of is fed into that. So 6 months is a good rule of thumb for what Abundantly Social does.
Is 2.5 months doable? Just saying.
I mean, if you want to, put a little stress on me, but I do good under pressure. So,
pressure.
Aimee, I don't know if you know it. Aimee and James, I don't know if you know it, but Red is the one who helped her.
He's my book coach. Yes.
Book coach. Thank you for the word.
I love Red. Yes. What a perfect person to have. He's awesome. I love him.
He's great. And he's also a co-host and a talking head and elevated listener on our team. So he's such a good man. Yeah. That's
I
fantastic.
love Red.
So see, we're all connected now. Isn't that lovely?
I love it. I feel like I'm talking with my family. That's what I'm doing. I love it.
6 degrees of separation. Everybody knows somebody.
Yeah, that's right. Aimee, it was really wonderful for you to explain everything, because even you gave me more clarity, because I know I'm a member, and so I will have to reach out to you about the new book that'll be coming out. So be ready for a new phone call. I did not know 6 months out. So I'm learning all the time, Dr. Jacalyn. And that's what I want our listeners to understand too, is that just because you wrote a book doesn't mean people are going to buy it. Right, James?
True.
Aimee, there's so much more, right?
Yes, and that's the thing you have to get through to the authors too. You have to teach the authors. You wrote the book. That's just the smallest part of this business.
Yeah. It's definitely the hardest pill to swallow, right? Because you've put all of this heart and soul and effort into publishing this book. And to you, it is, God's gift to everyone is your book, right? That you've written, no matter your latest book, your first book, anything like that. And it is to you. And I love that. And I love that you got your story out. But in reality, there's so many other books in the genre that you wrote, no matter what genre it is. And so we have to figure out a way to market that book that's different than any other book they're going to get out there, and what makes it special. And, at Abundantly Social, and something that I learned from Sandy Lawrence a long time ago, is everyone has a story, and it's special because it's your story, and that's what makes it different. And that's why people should buy it. So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that it's a hard pill for authors to swallow, for anyone to kind of swallow. It's like, well, why is no one buying my book? Well, it's, we just have to position it right and let people get to know you as the author and why they need to buy your book, right? So it's a tough market, man. It's difficult sometimes, but you just got to learn to separate it and set yourself apart from everybody else. So.
Yeah, good points. And I think what I really found to be eye-opening, I knew I wasn't going to make a lot of money with my first book, and I was like, this is like,
there's always that, you're like, oh man, I put all this money and stuff into my book, and it's like, oh wait, no, I'm not getting it back, right? Yeah, that's like everyone, that reaction that you had just now is the reaction everybody has. And so it's like, yes, I understand the struggle. Struggle's real right there. Yeah, I get it.
But yet there's something about writing, and you just want to continue putting more content out there.
Yeah, it's definitely an addicting thing, I would say, right? James, I mean, you have the publishing company, and how many authors have you published? It's definitely addicting, writing.
Very much so. And I would say books and boats are the 2 biggest money eaters in the world. And I have both.
I've never seen heard that comparison before. Books,
classic.
I like that.
Makes sense, though. I get it. It's addicting. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things that once the writing bug has hit you and you've gone through the process of publishing your book, however you've published it, it really is just something where you're like, oh man, that was so stressful, but man, I want to do it again. It's one of those things you just get the joy and the thrill out of the whole process. You enjoy the writing part, right? And then you have to go and you do the publishing, and you don't necessarily enjoy that whole process because it never goes as smooth as you think it's going to go. You think it's smooth waters, right? All right, yeah. It never is that way ever. But it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, I want to do it again. Let me jump back in. I can do this, and you think each time it gets smoother. And it does, I would say, right, James? Each time publishing or writing a book gets smoother, but that first one is always difficult. It always is. So
Yeah, painful, I would say, was my experience. One thing I have to give a shout out to Red. He's really good as an accountability partner because there's so
Mhm.
many things that can distract me. And so I meet with him on a regular basis and we have to get the work done.
yes.
Otherwise, it wouldn't get done. So
Yeah, I think everybody needs that. I mean, I need that. I am not a writer. Diann knows this. I could totally just put out an audiobook because I'm very animated. But my grammar and writing is not my strong suit. But I think everybody needs an accountability person. I need one of those just to, keep my head on straight. I need someone to just tell me, Aimee, your head needs to be on straight till you got it. So yes. And Red is great for that. I love his answer. I ask him every time I see him how he's doing. He's like, excellent as always. And that just always sets the tone for me for my day. So I'm like, Red, I'm going to call you every day and I want you to give me that answer. And you're just going to set my tone, right? So I love Red. He's awesome.
Red is a great character. He is a
I
great
know.
person to know. And
he is.
and he does. He has that accountability, that focus. I have a person, it's Athena. She's my
Mhm.
editor, and she's the right arm of the publishing business here. Because if I didn't have Athena, I'd be all over the map. But she's great, and you do need that person. As authors, we need somebody to keep us. And Aimee's the other person I have. I have Aimee, and without Aimee, I'd be all over the map too. so I need Aimee to keep the publishing company going in the right direction and to keep the people on target, on task.
We try. Sometimes it's difficult, but we try.
Well, you can tell there's great synergy between the two of you, which is really nice. And James, the question I had for you, we talked about this when you were here before. I was really fascinated by it because it's something I have in the back of my head is about sequels. And I remember you saying that you need to plan in advance. Is that right? That you don't just write one and then if it has to be all thought up in advance. Can you share more about that?
Yes. My Killer series, I had the whole 4 books planned out in advance, and you barely see them because of the glare. But the first 3 books there on the rack are the first 3 books of the Killer series. The 4th book I'm working on now, and before I wrote one word of it, I already knew the arc of the story. I knew who the characters were going to be. I knew where the stories were going to go. The difference in knowing and writing is as you write these things happen, stories change somewhat, but I'm a very big planner. Okay. I plan out everything as much as I can. Now, when I started working on my Gemstone series, I started writing the first book, The Emerald Lady, and halfway through that story, I realized it was a much bigger story than I can tell in just one book. And therefore, it became the Gemstone series. And I started planning out what the second and third book will be before I finished even writing the first book. Because if you're going to write a series, then you should know the beginning and the end. Sometimes you can leave the middle up to chance. But if you don't know where you're going, it's like, going on any kind of trip. You just can't jump in the car and start driving without knowing where you're headed. So it's very important to plan out a series, because if not, you wind up writing yourself into corners. You wind up with plot holes where you started down one road and you're lost somewhere. You don't know how to get back to your main story anymore. So it's just much better if you plan out these things, so you know what's going to happen in book 1. You know what's going to happen in book 2. You know what's going to happen in book 3. If it's nothing more than just a general idea, then that at least gives you something to work towards.
And James, a question I have about that is, do you need to plan in advance how many pages each book, each part of that is going to be? And how do you know when to cut one book and to go to the other?
Uh, we work in words, not in pages.
Okay,
But
thanks.
it's like, it depends on the genre you're writing in. Some genres are shorter and they tend to be, 60, maybe 70,000. Most books should run around 80 to 100,000 words. But some genres are longer. Fantasies tend to be longer. Science fiction tend to be longer if you are explaining the science behind it. If in fantasy, you're usually world building. And if you're going to write a series, you need to build out this world. So you need more time, more words to actually set the atmosphere, the environment that this story is taking place in. And as to when to cut from one book to another, that all depends upon the story you're telling and where you want the action to go. You don't want to leave your readers at a point where you want to leave them at a point where they want to know what's coming next, but you have to finish the story you're telling in that book. So you don't want to leave them with the idea, oh, if you want to know what happens to this book, you got to read the next one. People will feel very cheated about that. So you have to finish the story you're telling, but you want to let them know that there's more to the story to be told.
I like that. So can you leave it as a cliffhanger, or you really have to sum it up?
I wouldn't suggest leaving cliffhangers in books, because like the movies used to have the cliffhangers, they came out every week. And so you can get back to the story very quickly. But in a novel, it's going to take you another year, 2 years, maybe 3 years to get back to that story. And people are not going to want to wait that long to find out what happened. So a cliffhanger is good only if you plan to release that next book within a couple of months. And what some people do, they'll write the whole series out and then they'll drop book after book after book. So you don't have to wait after you finish this book. The next book is coming out in a month or two, or within that year, or maybe by the next year. So in that case, yeah, you can end it with a cliffhanger because you know the next part is coming out right away and people will still be interested. But if you end your book with a cliffhanger and you haven't wrote the next book, oh, you are going to have a hard time selling that second book. People are going to hate you.
So it sounds like just to protect your base of loyal fans that you need to sum it up in.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good.
I would think that a story should be told completely. When you're writing a book, tell the story that you are writing. Complete that story. Then you can write the next book and then piggyback off that story. But you want to tell a complete story. No one likes to read half a story.
That's right.
That's a good point.
Aimee, do you have anything to add?
Well, no. I mean, as a marketing person, yes, I don't want cliffhangers. And if you do a cliffhanger, please have that second book already written. As a reader, right, I'm like, okay, I'm not a fan of cliffhangers only because you get me really engaged into it and then you just drop me off. And I'm like, man, I'm one of those, once I start something, I have to complete it. And if I can't complete it because the book's not out, I'm not a happy camper. So it's one of those, please complete it. But I do know what, James, you said, I do know a lot of authors that will write their entire series and have them ready to go and then, release one every 3 to 6 months, which is, marketing wise, that's what we tell you. So if you don't have a book coming out, right, then you need to be running some kind of promotion every 3 to 6 months to keep your followers and readers happy until that next book comes out. Because readers and stuff, they love you and they'll follow you. But if you're not putting something new out there, they're going to where new stuff is in that genre, right? So you want to kind of keep them engaged as best you can. So
yeah, good point. When I think about it, a television series, The Sopranos, that ending, I'm still annoyed about it because I don't know if that was a cliffhanger or I don't know what it was, but yeah, I can see what you're saying. There's nothing coming after that, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, for that part, for The Sopranos, I thought it was a perfect ending because it was the end of the series. You knew nothing else was coming. And so whether he lives or dies or whatever, doesn't really matter. It's over. Yeah, it's over.
But, you always hope it comes back, right? Because you and the poor man died, but you always hope that they come back with this series. And anyway, we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more exciting conversations. So stay with us here in the Corner Bookstore at USA Global TV.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann Floyd Boehm's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find a song of peace along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages at diannfloydboehm.com.
Ours is a world of wonder. Every day it reminds us of its beauty. It touches us, teaches us, and astounds us. But it also warns us that what we throw away does not go away. That higher temperatures mean a lot more than longer summers. That we can no longer take life as we know it for granted. We are at a unique stage in our history. Never before have we had such an awareness of what we are doing to the planet. And never before have we had the power to do something about that. We face a series of
So I joined through Eyes of Authors one night with Sandy Lawrence. Aimee hadn't taken over yet. And I was so impressed with the authors, a part of the group. And now Aimee's taken over and has taken us even to higher heights. And I'm just so proud to be a member, because as a new author, it's a huge industry, as Aimee was sharing with you, and I have so much to learn. And I feel so blessed that I have a person like Aimee guiding me and helping me through this new world. And I look forward to more and more things that I do with her. And meeting her, one of the authors was James Hill, which is our guest today. And I was so impressed with James. You probably didn't even know that, but I was so impressed with everything he added to the group. And because he writes in an adult genre, and I knew they didn't know I was starting or had been working on historical fiction for adults. And James would give tidbits, and I just like, whoa, that's really good for thought. Or James would give people inspiration. And I was like, I need to be part of this group. I need to be part of a group that understands and teaches me and inspires me. And that's what these two are all about.
Yay! I love it.
You guys didn't know
Thank
that
you,
how
Diann.
much I thought of you, did I?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's been so much fun, Diann, to see you grow and all the books that you've put out. So I'm glad I got to meet you. And I've loved James since he was working with Sandy. He's like my brother. So I love it. I love the industry. I think authors are such creative people. And, it really is, working with authors is really like, for me, working with extended family. I mean, it's a very welcoming community and I love it. So.
And Diann, you wrote books from around the world because you were stationed in different places. And I found that so fascinating. First off, you're a children's author, and that is really a job or a career that is so amazing to me, because people in my own family said, why don't you write children's books? They're so, you should just write children's books. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. There's a lot more to write in the children's book than just sitting down writing the children's book. Believe me, it's much easier to write adult books than it is to write for children. And I had Diann on our podcast, on my podcast, Readings and Writers, because she is such a fascinating writer. And then she broke into the adult world with her historical novel that I thought, oh wow, that's a great crossover. So Diann, you inspired me. I don't think I'm ever going to write a children's book. But
you never know, James. It could be in there. You never know. Children's books is all about illustrations, right? You got a good illustrator, it's good. You can do it. I have faith. I'm going to hold out.
I was told that I could not tell my grandson what I was talking to him about because it just was not the type of thing to tell an 8-year-old. So think about somebody even younger than that, and then you will realize, yeah, he's not the type of guy to write children's books. I'm not your Dr. Seuss type of person.
Right.
Thank
you, James. That's so sweet.
Yeah, sorry.
Dr. Jacalyn, you see how we're a family?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. In some industries, they're very competitive and they don't want to support one another and help each other. And you guys are just all about collaborations and building each other up. I love it.
That's the way authors really are, because we realize there's people going to buy more than one book. Okay, so if you buy my book and you like what I write, you'll like what somebody else like me writes. And and it's not just that you're going to just buy romance and nothing else, or you're going to buy sci-fi and nothing else. If you read sci-fi, you'll read fantasy. If you like this, you'll like that, So it's a wide open world for us. And as authors, we like to promote other authors because it just, the sharing of ideas is what authors are all about. And the talking about our time. I was getting goosebumps when I was watching your commercials because I'm a child of the space age. I grew up watching Gemini, the Mercury, all of that stuff. And it's one of the things that led me to writing sci-fis was because of the idea of what the possibilities are, and it's what led me into part of what led me into writing. Comic books led me into writing too, but it's the idea and the sharing of ideas and what we can give back to the world. And that's why authors are so giving, because that's what we do. We want to give our ideas and ourselves back to the world. And the way to help that is to help other people share their ideas.
Yeah.
And we learn from others. Yeah.
I think that, especially in like indie authors or small press authors, you really need an author's community and network to kind of help each other be successful. Not that you can't be successful on your own, because clearly, you can, but it's always good to help each other be successful, because that's how authors learn, is they learn from each other, right? Like going to markets, whether it's school markets or Comic-Cons or something like that, right? You may have a set of authors that are successful at that realm that you've never even thought of, right? So having other authors in your community or network or however you want to word it is what helps each other to be able to make the money back they've invested in their books, or hopefully put a dent in it or something. But meet new authors and get exposure to different areas and genres that maybe you've never considered writing in, but now you will, because you have someone that might be able to help you, right? And so I think, we have a saying, and through the eyes of authors, and I'm pretty sure it's from you, James, but it's authors helping authors, right? That's how we all become successful. And so that's why we're all in that together, and we're all learning together, and how we can kind of build each other up where we're all successful. And I think that to me is just the greatest thing. Because like you said, Dr. Jacalyn, most people are competitive and they're like, no, I'm going to do this better. I'm going to and the author community is the one community that I have met that is not like that. And I think that's what I love so much about them, is they're so creative, and yet they're not competitive with each other. They help each other out. And I love that. I wish every community and organization was like that, right? I mean, that's like utopia, nice. Perfect world, right? Yeah, utopia, perfect world. We're all just, let's help each other be great, which is phenomenal. But they're the one community that actually does that. And I will never give up authors. I just like y'all. Like, y'all are amazing. I envy y'all and your writing capabilities, right? I mean, if you want an audiobook, I will be more, if it's a children's book, because I can get animated. Okay, Diann, I'm just throwing it out there. I will not write my own book, right? I mean, if you can ask Diann and James, anybody, my email and grammar and all of that is not, I mean, I even use Grammarly and it doesn't help me. So you will not get a book from me, but I will support any of y'all in any avenue. Okay, I love y'all.
We're going to get Aimee. We're going to get a book out of Aimee one day.
One day.
You'll get an audio book, right? You're getting an audio book.
You have a nice voice, Aimee. I think you would be great for an audiobook too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't like listening to myself or watching myself. All the shows and stuff that I do, I don't watch playback. So thank you. That has made my day, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you.
It's very true. Well, a question I have for all of you is, we understand about the content, what's inside the book. What about the book cover itself, from a social media marketing perspective, from a publishing perspective? I know plenty of authors that go onto an online platform. Maybe they're going to pay $5 or $20, and other people hiring, people who are really great at branding and whatnot. How important is that cover, and how much time and money should you put into it?
Oh, man. I would say when people tell you don't judge a book by their cover, they're lying straight up. Okay. They're just lying to you, because the cover is what makes you turn that book around to read the description on if you want to purchase that book. So I would say, on top of, doing developmental edits or whatever, your cover needs to be on point. That's what is going to draw people to that book. So you really want to make sure your vision comes to life. As far as like price point, I don't know. I've had people on all end of the spectrum. I've had people that have spent $40 and they're pretty good. And I've had some people that have spent, $200 to $500, and they're very vibrant and colorful, but I think it's what cover fits best for your genre. But it is super important, at least from a marketing standpoint, to have a very eye captivating cover that draws people in without having to read any wording. They just are drawn to it. This is the book. Let me flip it over. And then, yes, I've sold the book. So the cover is really what is going to sell the book, right? So that to me is the most important, besides editing. So
awesome. Thank you.
Aimee is absolutely right. Everybody judges a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. And this is a great chance for me to throw up two covers. Let's see, that way. This is my first book, Vegas: It's a Journey to New Eden. And this is actually a picture of the Heart and Soul Nebula, which I got offline, and it's from NASA, so it's free to everybody. But it tells you what's inside the book, and that's why I used that cover. That's why I picked that cover. And this is my last book, which I had my cover artist do. Wow. And the story is a mob story and a crime story. But because of the title, Killer with Black Blood, I thought that was a very good depiction of what goes on in that story. And so, like Aimee said, and like everybody would tell you, oh, you can't judge a book by its cover. but people do. And if your cover does not live up to what's inside the book, and I hear that so many times, oh, we got to have this great cover because we have this, it's a terrific horror story. Then you look at it, you're like, no, you don't have a horror story. You have a mystery. We need a mystery cover. So your cover also got to fit the genre you're writing in. And so I have spent hours in bookstores looking at a particular genre and seeing what's a good cover. Because as a publisher, that's your job, is to get the right cover. And I let some of my authors suggest their own covers. I go with them. They have a good idea. And then sometimes it's like, no, that's absolutely wrong. We have to do this because it's not what you think. And that's the thing with creative people. You have a vision in mind. You have a picture in your head. But when somebody else looks at that, they have a different picture. So your vision might be one thing, but it may not be the correct thing. And so sometimes you have to go outside and look at have other people give you ideas too. I have people who told me my cover was absolutely terrible, and I changed it because they were right. So, you have a vision, but that doesn't mean that your vision is always correct. And sometimes people give you better ideas, and you go with that. I'm always one to go for the better ideas. Let me tell you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, both of you. I can relate to that. My new book that's coming out, I had a different title and a different book cover, and I got some good advice. It was like, no, that's really horrible. You need to change it. So, question I have, and Diann, I'd love for you to weigh in on this as well. So if your book is in a bookstore, right, and not everybody's is, mine is not, but if you're in a bookstore and someone's there and they're looking around, that cover definitely is going to spark some interest, get you to go over there, pick it up. What if you're self-publishing and it's on Amazon? What do you need to do to stand out there?
I would say the same thing, right? So for me, when I go on Amazon, I'm looking at, my clients' books or books in that genre to do a book launch or whatever. I type in the genre and I go to, this is an honest opinion, I go to the covers and titles that stick out the most to me. Those are the ones that I click on because I see Amazon as, I'm a very visual person, but I see Amazon as like a bookstore. Like I just imagine myself there. And so I'm scrolling and then whatever cover makes me stop is the one I'm going to click on. So, I still think your cover is super important because that's the first thing people are going to see. Your genres are important to kind of make sure that you are narrowed down in your niche that you need to be for your audience. And then the description of your book. I think all three of those things weigh really heavy when you're online looking for a book because the cover is going to draw me in. But the number one thing is going to be the genre, right? So if I'm looking for murder mystery, I am going to type in murder mystery, thriller, suspense, and you want your book to pop up in any one of those categories, right? And then from there, my cover or your cover of the book is what's going to captivate me to click on it. And then your description is what's going to make me hit that buy now button, right? So all three of those play a very important part when you're online. When you're in a bookstore, right, you go to the genre that you want, you pick the cover that you want. You're like, oh yeah, this sounds good. Or the cover's like, yes, right? I'm not going to go to murder, mystery, thriller, suspense and find a cover with puppies and rainbows. That's going to be like, what? Like, what's happening here, right? No one's going to do that, right? So that's kind of, it's the same online. It's just, you don't visualize that. Like when you're going into a bookstore, you kind of just self-consciously or like, I don't know, routinely do it, right? You're like, oh, I'm looking for this. I'm going to go to this genre. This looks it. It's the same online, except you're just manually typing it in. So those are three very important things I would say.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm getting all kinds of great insights today.
I was wondering before we close out if maybe each one could share, like Aimee, how they could get in touch with her, what she could offer. Earlier she mentioned like she has different pricing for different types of publicity. I'm probably not saying it right, Aimee, and why maybe authors should come join through the Eyes of Authors. And then James, if you could share some of your book titles, and if people are interested in speaking to you about publishing. Obviously we don't want children authors to contact you, but what type of authors? How does that sound, Dr. Jacalyn?
Yeah, that sounds great. I was interested in hearing about this membership program and how somebody can become a member. So let's start with Aimee.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the membership is called Through the Eyes of Authors. It was a dream that Sandy had 3 years ago. We're currently in our 3rd year that we've made possible. And what that is it's all authors or writers in any journey of publishing a book, writing another book, or just a first-time writer and you need ideas, right? So we cover everything from writing tips, how to make your writing stronger, to bringing in editors and different publishers, nonprofit writing organizations, and marketing. So we bring in marketing experts, or I talk myself, or I bring in summits that you can attend to, and they come and they give you ideas and they talk to you about the realms that they found to be useful for them. We've had someone come in and talk about Amazon ads and how that's really helped them grow and sell more books, right? So we're all about empowering the author and equipping them with everything that they need to be successful. And again, we always reiterate, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's not like an overnight sensation. It takes a lot of time to kind of do it, but we make sure that you have the newest trends that are going on and the information and resources that you need to help you be successful wherever you want, or to connect you with those people to help you grow. That's what Through the Eyes of Authors are. So if you want to join it, you can go to abundantlysocial.com and type in or hit the tab that says membership, and it'll give you some more information about it. You can always email me. My email is down below. I did put the N in front of the A though, but I was typing fast. But it is Aimee@abundantlysocial.com. I am all over social media, so you can type in my name or Abundantly Social. I'm an open book, so if you need ideas or you have questions or you're looking for publishers taking submissions, editors, whatever, reach out to me. I like to help authors be successful and give you as much information as I can, because it's a difficult world, the author community. And so it's good to have resources and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the membership and the business and everything like that. So, I mean, thank you guys for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. I will definitely be
Thank you.
reaching out to you, Aimee.
Wonderful.
All right, James, over to you.
Okay. Well, you can reach me at Rock Hill Publishing. Oh, which way? That way.
There
Rock
it
Hill
is.
Publishing. It's rockhillpublishing.com, which is the easiest way to go. To just go to our website, and you can find all my authors there. We have a bookstore, so you can go there, purchase the books directly from the publishing house. And you can also reach me at jlhill at rockhillpublishing.com. You'll see my titles. You'll see everybody else's title. You'll see the 4 genres that we publishing. And I'm open to other genres. So if you are a children's author, I'm not going to just kick you to the curb right away. But just know that I do not have expertise in children's authors. So, you know, I might refer you to somebody else because of the reason that I like to do what I know. And therefore, if I'm not really sure about how to market something or how to produce something, I'll probably push you off to somebody else who I know is good at that. And it'll be more to help you than it is to help me. Because I had some people who came to me as a children's author, but they were like unsure what they were doing. And I was like, I can't really help you if you don't know what you're doing. So,
James,
go to rockhillpublishing.com to start with. Yes.
Can you please share with our audience what are the genres that are really your niche, your expertise?
Okay. Sci-fi, fantasy, romance, adult novels. And adult doesn't mean erotica or something like that, but it does mean adult themes. The things that would be more for your 18-year-olds and plus. My Killer series is definitely 18-year-old and plus, but it's somewhat of an adult theme type of story that you wouldn't want somebody younger to read. I don't really do, but we do have some people who write young adults, fantasy, things like that. So we cover, in those genres, we cover a wide spread of material, but it's sci-fi, fantasy, romance, and fiction. I would say adult fiction, but fiction.
Thank you so much. That's very helpful. All
Thank
right.
you.
It's been such a pleasure having you both here, and look forward to being part of this circle if you guys will let me in. And
Let me think about that.
Absolutely. You are more than
Absolutely.
welcome to come. It'll be great too because we're fixing to start our writing series with the writing coach Max Regan. He's going to do a 6-week writing intensive through the eyes of authors. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
when does that start?
That is going to start February 7th, the first Monday in February.
I'm so jazzed about it.
I would like to know what's your second book about?
My second book, I actually have the cover here. I'm going to tell you what it's about. Let me see if I can bring it up. It's I've interviewed really fascinating people who have overcome incredible things in life, being in prison, sex trafficking, homelessness, abandonment. So I actually interviewed them using Red's process, where I record the interview and then we have it transcribed. And so I'm taking the clips out of that. So the book itself, of course, why would I have anything to market my own stuff? Oh, here it is. This is the book cover. So it's inspirational reflections to make you reevaluate everything, adversity to awesome. So we've actually changed the tagline. So this is not the most updated, but what I had started out with the book was because my first book is Behind the Green Screen, How to Succeed in the Live Broadcasting Business, which is really about my life story. But this one was going to be Behind the Mask, Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. And my marketing / PR team, they said, no, we need to go with something that's more direct, because I wanted to do a whole series, because when I met you, everything was going to be behind something. And the next one that I've started working on is, I'm going to change the title, I guess, Behind the Tattoo, It's More Than Skin Deep, because I never knew anything about tattoos. I was never a tattoo fan. And then during the pandemic, I was watching Netflix, The Ink Master, and I was like, wow, this is pretty unbelievable. What do these tattoos mean, and why do people get them? So so that's the next one. So anyway, to answer your question, that's what it's about. It's about stories of, one person was in prison for a very long time and had a horrible, amount of years in there. Other people were abused in care homes, and so it's their stories.
Interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And how they ended up succeeding and turning things around.
Exactly. And if you guys are up for it, I'll play a clip from one of the people who's in the book whose story we're featuring. Do you have time?
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So his name is Paul Connolly, and he has a movie coming out. He actually wrote a book, and it became a bestseller, and now it's become a movie, and it's going to be featured in theaters starting in the UK. So it's called Big Boys Don't Cry. Let's take a look at this.
That place. Those people.
We need to talk to you about your time growing up in St Leonard's Children's Home. 6 of your 8 housemates committed suicide, Mr. Connolly. I'm afraid I have to tell you that another child in your care home, Liam Carroll, has also recently taken his own life.
Jason. Andrew. I need to find some people. I said get out! I've got to end them! Ah!
If you'll let me spending the rest of your life in prison, boy, I'm happy to tell you what you need to know.
Wow.
I didn't think it was real.
Yeah,
It was what?
Yeah, that's his life story.
Wow.
That's actually him, Paul Connolly, that Michael Sosha, I think it's how you say his name. He's portraying him, and that's what his book is
Oh.
about. So I interviewed him, and it's his backstory and how he's taken what's happened to him, and now he's like one of the leading expert healers. So it's a fascinating story.
Wow. I love to
Wow.
hear stories like that, though, like where, they've overcome hardship and things and become, an expert or amazing in their field. I think those stories are very powerful. So,
And that's a
I'm
real hard
excited.
job to do, Dr. Jacalyn, interview people like that, because when you get into that situation with somebody and you're talking about their life and everything, it is so intense, and it leaves a mark. It leaves a mark on you, and when
Yes.
people watch it and read it, leaves a mark on them. So very good on you. Good for you.
Well, thank you. I know when I was interviewing them, the different people in the book, I actually had to use my own coaching skills on myself because I felt like like I have pain in my chest now just from watching that, and I've watched it numerous times. But having met him, right, and having had many conversations with him to know what it was that he went through, it's just heartbreaking. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch Pollyanna after I watch that movie.
Or a Hallmark series or something.
A love story.
The funny thing is, I went to go see my mom over Christmas. She's not doing well, but she's doing better now. But I went to go see my mom, and my sister reads my books, and she was reading my Killer series, and she said, "Well, I read the other one and this and that, but I have to read something nice after I read your book. I just can't read one of your books after another." So I understand the Pollyanna story.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun having you, and I hope you will come back and see us again. And I look forward to joining and learning more from all of you.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you
I'm just
so
going to
much,
spotlight
guys.
you again, just to give your contact information. Let me put your banner up quickly, running over. Aimee, the best way for people to contact you, even though it's not spelled exactly correctly, is
Done. It's Aimee at abundantlysocial.com. It's the best way.
all right.
The best way.
Thank
Yes.
you. And James.
RockHillPublishing.com is the best way to reach me, or jlhill at RockHillPublishing.com.
All right. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having both of you. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Diann, that was so much fun.
That was, aren't they amazing?
Yes, they're great. And they both have something similar, which is this incredible energy. You can tell they're very positive, upbeat. They're people who lead with their hearts. I just love that. That's what we're all about here. So
Right.
thank you
right.
for
I'm
bringing
so
them to our
glad.
family.
Oh, you're welcome. And yes, you must check out Through the Eyes of Authors and the program Amy's putting together for February for all of us for working with this specialist and becoming better writers. I mean, how exciting is that?
It's really exciting. And Diann, something that I want to ask you, because I know you've already accomplished this, is there are so many books out there, right? But not every book earns an award. And
Right,
what does it mean? And how does there's all kinds of awards, right? But how
Right.
does it work? Is it sort of like in the film industry where you have to submit something for review?
The ones that I've done, yes, you have to submit for review, and it's it's like in everything. It's very difficult. So I always feel honored if I make it to the top 10. But every book, there's so many great books that don't receive awards that definitely should be part of like the Texas Bluebonnet series, to have all those books in the classroom. So it's just a huge, there's so many authors and so many books that I'm sure the people that are judges wish they could give out a lot more awards, but it's very difficult because of all the rules. But yeah, you have to apply. So for example, I just applied for Story Monster for 2 of my books. And so there's also a process of how you even want to present your application. And so I made sure I did a real high quality. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah,
Of
That's what
course
you
you
have to
did
do.
it high quality, Diann. That's all you ever do. Come on. So my last question for you is, we watched the sponsorship, right, about sustainability and taking care of the planet. So you just mentioned about all the books that are out there, right? And we see these graphics of books. What should somebody do after they read a book? You don't throw it in the trash. You don't light it in a bonfire. No. What do you do to pass the stories on and help protect this planet?
Well, if you were in my space right now, my actual story garden looks like behind me because my mom and dad loved books. And so we've always had a library. And so I really recommend to everybody to have a library, keep your books because you want to reference back to them at times. And we even started libraries, children's libraries for our children. So they had their own little bookshelf. And to this day, as adults, they have their, people have their entertainment room, but I'm blessed to say that my kiddos all have a library as well. Now, of course, there's some books that you don't want to keep. And my mom, she must have had a million books. And my in-laws are the same way. They had like 2 floors worth of libraries, books that were dating all the way back into the 1800s. So, my mom, for example, what she did is she had her church family come over, and at her church, there's a library for people. And so mom donated lots of books, probably over 100 books to the library. I am such a believer in going to bookstores that are recycling their books. And so I'll take books in there as well. And donate books and then purchase books back from them. So yes, please don't ever throw away a book. There's also organizations that you can join, and one of the names is escaping me at the moment, but if people are interested, just email me and I'll send you the info. But you can also donate your books. So like I donated books to some schools in Uganda because they needed to grow their library. Believe it or not, in the schools I was at in Uganda, English is considered the first language because in that particular country, and in Ethiopia and some of the schools I was in, they know that if they want their people to be successful and have jobs, they need to speak English. So in the schools I was at in Uganda, and in this one particular area, they made English the primary language. And so by giving them English books that's, that's written in the English language, don't be thinking, oh, well, they can't read it, because it's just the opposite. Actually, a lot of them have a really high vocabulary. Vocabulary is huge for them. So they actually could probably pass some of the grammar tests quite well. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? I love it. And a tip that I'll share, when I was living in New Jersey, I thought this was really neat. On the island where we were, somebody had put up, it looked like a case, like it had glass in the front and it was some kind of metal. And they had a bunch of books in there, and there's a sign, take one, leave one. And so whenever I would go on my walk, I always thought, wow, look at that. And I meant to put my book in there, but I forgot. So that's kind of a good idea as well, like something in your neighborhood to get people.
Right. There's actually an organization that does that throughout the country. And so you'll see many libraries as you walk, and it'll have the name of who the contact person is. And you can share with them that you would actually like to be part of the official library sharing in the community. And they'll tell you everything you need to do. How wonderful is that?
Excellent. Thank you for that. More information that I love. Well, Diann, we have to wrap up for now. So
Yes.
I will bid you adieu. And I thank you for really just going above and beyond this week with all 3 shows. And you'll be coming back soon in a couple of weeks with a 4th show as a talking head. So I hope you're getting
excited.
some sleep. get your rest.
That and writing as well.
All right, my dear. I'll see you.
May I tell you something
Yeah,
else real quick?
go ahead.
So I just was hired to do 2 presentations in Dubai and a school there. And so I'm really jazzed about it. So besides everything else, I'm writing lessons and getting ready to present in
Congratulations.
Dubai. So
Woo,
the pretty school in
excellent.
Dubai. Yeah, so
Very proud of you,
never a
Diann.
dull moment.
No, good for you. That's excellent. You deserve it.
Thanks. Well, have a great day, great rest
Thank
of
you.
your shows, and thanks for the Corner Bookstore. And thanks, Aimee and James. They were fabulous.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right. Bye, Diann.
Bye. Take care.
Take care. Thank you, everyone who is watching on the live, and for people watching on the replay. I just want to give you a couple of pointers because we love having you watch us wherever you are in the world. So if you want to watch us live, we are on 11 platforms live and then 6 as a podcast, but that's so confusing, isn't it? Just go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV, and we have playlists, and you can also access these playlists from our website. What do you think the name of it is? USA Global TV. Yay! Tried to make everything so simple. So you can just find whatever your favorite show. If it's the Corner Bookstore, you go to that playlist. We've got another show coming up right at the top of the hour, and that's The Wise Ones with Red O'Loughlin. And our guest, I'm so excited because he actually interviewed me for the Houston Chamber of Commerce. It's Gail Stolzenberg. So I'm excited to have him on. But you could go over to our channel and just look for The Wise Ones, and you'll find all of Red's shows there. That's all that we have for right now. I'll be back shortly with Red, and I look forward to seeing you then. Our last show for today is The Listening Mentor, which follows The Wise Ones. And The Listening Mentor features my team of elevated listeners like Diann, and she has taken the power of listening. And so people on the team come on, and we actually do live role plays about listening skills, which is really fun. And we also have conversations about scenarios where people were listening, weren't listening, and what tips we have for them. And the reason we do this is because of the fact that I really believe that in order to have more peace in this world and have more peace personally, we need to learn how to listen to each other, listen without judging, listen without coming up with solutions, listening without interrupting. And of course, my favorite one is when you just literally finish taking a breath and somebody else has to jump in with something else to one up whatever it is that you said, the one-upsmanship. So that's all we have for now. Let's take a look at the power of listening. We'll be back at 2 o'clock Eastern time with The Wise Ones. Bye, everyone.